Welcome to another episode of JD and Jess.
Yay.
All right, what's the topic today?
I don't know. We're just going to kind of go. We got some bullet points that we want to talk about.
They can't see that.
That's for you.
Wait, I know.
Don't worry about them. That's for you.
I know.
We got some bullet points for you to talk about. Let's start off with, how are you feeling today, my love?
All right, y'all. On the real, I've been sick for several days, so I'm struggling.
She's trying to make it. She's not doing well mentally.
Barely awake, but I think God can still use me.
He always, yeah, absolutely.
So, and I still love you.
That's good.
I feel like between those two things, we got this.
Yeah. All right. So I appreciate that you still love me through it. I still love you through it.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry that you're sick. It sucks when she's sick, because when she's down, nothing works. Everything goes to crap.
No, you've done a really good job.
I do. I do as good of a job as I can. He
does have to put a little bit more effort into like the day-to-day whenever I'm sick.
No, I have to put a little more effort into making sure she relaxes. Because she won't. She feels like she needs to be up doing something.
So is that why I came home
productive.
And the house was clean yesterday and the dishes were done? And
I wanted you to feel nice coming home.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were sick.
You did so good.
And Makai and our oldest made dinner.
That's never happened.
They're just trying to put a smile on your face. But, yeah, take care of your spouses, guys, when they're sick. Do your
Amen.
best. And if you have a spouse like mine that is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Be careful what I say.
Oh, goodness. I don't
very,
know. What are you going to say?
There's a good word for it.
So I'm a very productive person, and I'm always on the go.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit, honestly, I'm a little bit stubborn about that.
Stubborn was the word I was looking for. That was the word I was looking for. Yes.
He was
she is very
trying
stubborn.
to find something more cautious, like headstrong or...
No,
but
I was looking for stubborn, and I just couldn't think of the word for some reason. I just had a brain fart. But stubborn is the word. If you have a spouse like mine who's stubborn when it comes to being sick...
Yeah. And I want to push through, but then that takes recovery time is even longer and suckier. So
it does. So
yeah.
Lock them in the room, tie them to the bed if you have to. That's another show. But yeah, make sure you do what you can to make sure they get the rest so they can be back on your 100 level.
Yeah.
Right. Take that 20% that they have and put in your 80%. Is that correct math?
I mean, that's pretty close. I feel like it was a little less for me, but it's fine.
But yeah, so it's just important. We go into these things not knowing what we're going to talk about sometimes. I thought that was important too.
That at least y'all know that I'm on the struggle bus a little bit.
Yeah,
because it is taking a little bit extra effort to be here and to do this. But one, it's important to him. Two, I think it's important to y'all and to the commitment that I've made to do this.
Yes.
So, and it's something I believe in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
we love doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Monday we did take a break.
Mm-hmm. I needed rest.
She needed rest. And today she's pushing through. We could have gone another day without it, but
I didn't want to.
We want to make sure that we're doing
absolutely
what we chose to prioritize,
absolutely.
And that's sitting down doing this, so we have an opportunity to talk with each other.
Yes.
What are you looking for?
I'm just fixing our air conditioner.
Just fixing the air conditioner.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we don't know what this episode's going to be about, but we're going to talk. And again, I do have some bullet points, some things that we went over. Actually, I heard something. This might be off subject too, but I was watching on TikTok yesterday.
Okay.
And this actually broke my heart a little bit.
Oh no.
Yeah, you're gonna like it. Made me kind of tear up a little bit. And they talk about, and I just want to hear your perspective on this.
Okay.
Right. So they talk about on this TikTok how in the Bible, basically, when essentially we're married now, but when we get to heaven, we won't be.
Oh.
But it's a concept of understanding that it's what this is. Our marriage here is what we're going to be seeing
Big picture.
Big picture.
Yeah.
When we're in heaven. But at the same time, I'm just like, dude, that's kind of sad because I really, really like you. And I could not imagine on a physical, like not spiritual, but the thought of you not being my wife. And that broke my heart a little bit. But that goes into your faith, right? Like understanding the what's going to happen when we die.
Yeah.
What eternity is going to look like and how we're actually going to be side by side. We're still going to know each other. But it's hard to, in a natural world, it's hard to fathom.
Yeah.
Knowing that. Well,
so, you see it in the Bible where it talks about Jesus being the bridegroom, right?
Yes.
He's the groom and the church is the bride. And it talks in the Bible so many times Christ and his bride and the bridegroom and his bride and the sacrificial love that goes into that and how marriage, a biblical marriage, a faith-based marriage is supposed to resemble that, right?
It's foreshadowing.
Right. Well, sure. This is such a film buff. But we're supposed to resemble that.
Yeah.
And if our marriage isn't resembling Christ's relationship with the church, then we're doing something wrong, right? Mm-hmm. So then getting to heaven and being able to see that, like the fruit of what that is, the righteousness that we strive for in our marriage and the, just like the beauty, it's kind of like exciting. It's a bittersweet. It's exciting that to know that like that's what heaven is going to be like, but then also, like my buddy.
Yeah. And it's for everybody watching, we struggle with the natural. Mm-hmm. I see things through the natural probably more than I do spiritually.
Yeah, eternally
that
you have that struggle of seeing it.
But this is a good segue into one of the questions on our
okay
on our blot or whatever this is called here. But I just wanted to see what your take was on that, because that to me that's sad. That's sad. It's exciting but sad. But like what you said,
a bittersweet.
It's a bittersweet.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about that? What are your feelings on this situation? Pull that clip and then tell us what you think. Sound good?
Sound good.
I want to hear what you guys have to say. Faith and purpose.
All right.
That's where we're at. Faith and purpose.
So question. Does God come first and then the spouse? Or does the spouse come first and then God?
Which spouse? I'm just kidding. No.
We should only have one at this point.
Always God first. Well, to me, it's God first. God first in everything
feel like that's
that
biblical.
we do. It is biblical.
Yeah.
It is 100% biblical because, Pastor Tim does a great job at talking about it at church, how if we're good here,
we'll be good.
We'll be good here, right?
Yeah.
And it's important because this goes into another thing on the bullet points. There was a time in our life where God wasn't first. Well, at least not for me.
And we looked tore up from the floor up, y'all.
Not at all. So
it was bad.
For people that don't know my story, really short, I was what most people would consider agnostic. Mm-hmm. I believed in a higher power, didn't believe it was God. I've been through a lot of things, seen a lot of things. I was in the Marine Corps, 10 years, did 7 months in Iraq. So for any veterans that may be on here, understand I've seen some things. And for me, it was hard to believe in a God.
Yeah.
Believe that a God that I worship now would allow stuff like that to happen.
Yeah.
But that was my not understanding how God works and knowing that we have free will and we get to choose whether we want to follow him or not.
Well, and that evil runs rampant.
Yep.
Anyways.
Yep. Well, evil's because evil always feels good.
Mm-hmm.
So
to somebody.
Yeah. Right. No, I mean to anybody, to all of us, things that are sinful tend to feel good. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem with sin, is that when something feels good, you want to keep getting it, you want to keep going for it.
I had an aunt who used to pray over me, and Lord, make sin sick to her stomach. Like, she would pray that I would physically hate to do sinful things. And it was the truth. I always ended up telling on myself. Always.
I think that rubbed off onto our daughter because she's that way sometimes.
She is.
She gets...
If she's done something wrong, she really hates it.
And she gets
so
sick.
sad.
Yeah. But yeah, it's, there was a time in our life, we always go on rabbit trails. There's a time in our life, my life specifically, where
God wasn't first.
We were not equally yoked at all.
Sure.
Not even close. And that's a testimony in itself, right? Like, my relationship with God is from your fruit. Like, you're the reason why you're the reason why I continued on the path of believing in Christ.
I wouldn't say the reason, I would say influential in that. So my goal as a spouse, as a wife.
But she wasn't a spouse or a wife yet. Just understand that. That's why I'm saying that. That's
true. Yeah. Well, and the way that God has designed me as a woman is to be influential to you, right? So, and you hear so many times in the world of people, women abusing that, or, I know that that's going to sound extremely misogynistic, but it is what I believe. I do believe that a woman can use the sex appeal or use, we're highly manipulative creatures. Yeah. And how do I know that? That's
'cause she did it.
How I got you.
Literally. Yeah.
Like, literally. Our story is not one that's like, oh, cupcakes and rainbows, and I was the, perfect church girl, and he was the pastor's son, and we dated through high school. Like, it's not that. It's not that. It was a pretty messed up story, actually.
Yeah, everything was wrong with it.
Literally. Yeah. Ground up. Like, it was not right. But thank you, Jesus, for redemption.
Amen. Yes.
The blood. But, we're influential to men, to our specific men, of course. I'm the neck that turns the head, and so that's kind of goes into also like what a holy submission would look like as well, right? So I don't submit to you in the fact of that I'm like, okay, well, it's only your decision, right? That is wrong.
Yeah, so and that's
not how the Lord does it.
Just remember, submission doesn't mean that your spouse is beneath you.
Absolutely
That's not what submission means at all.
I am your equal, but I am under you in the fact of that you answer first, right? So it's the Lord, and then you would have to answer to him before I would for something in our family. Yeah. And it's almost like a protective thing. You know how, like, whenever you see, someone like a mom who wants to take their child and protect them, right? Like, perfect example, yesterday, one of my children said something stupid and offended another child and their mother. I had to call the mother. I had to take responsibility for that because I'm the mom. That's what you would do. You would take responsibility, right? Now, if it were only my decision and I did something wrong in my own right for myself, then that's 100% on me. Yep. So I've always viewed submission as a protective thing, not a, I don't know, like, I'm not your servant. I'm not a doormat. Like, I have a voice and I'd use it.
And that's the thing. That's the problem that with a lot of religious folk that I like to say. Yeah. That men specifically, obviously, men, like to utilize the term submission as I'm the head of the house. You don't listen. You don't say anything unless I tell you to say it. Yeah. You wash my dishes. You make my sandwiches. Blah, 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 blah.
And I love doing those things for you because I love you and I love serving you.
The difference is I'm appreciative of it and I don't expect it. That's the biggest difference. And I know at any given moment, I'll do the exact same thing for you. And I do. Yeah. Right? There's a difference in that. I don't believe, a lot of, there's always that talk about women aren't supposed to speak in the church or be leaders in the church or blah, blah. I don't know exactly per se how it goes. But I disagree with that a lot because,
Yeah.
for instance, we have an amazing pastor, Pastor Angela, who, I mean,
Our pastors co-lead.
yeah.
They do not.
Now Pastor Tim is the head of the church.
He's the dad.
He's the
It's
dad.
like,
And then Pastor Angela's right underneath him.
Yeah.
And it's not beneath him in the sense of Pastor Tim's better than him. It's she's in the place that God designed her to be.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are powerful women in the Bible specifically who, if it wasn't for them, things wouldn't have gone the way that we've seen them
Right.
biblically.
Right.
Right? For you, even though there's this submission,
Yeah.
I have to listen to God first.
Yes.
But I come through you. A lot of times I have to listen. For me, I hear God through my wife. And I think I've said this before. Like, there's things that are happening within our household, whether it's a budgeting situation, whether it's a new move, whether it's whatever big life decision thing that we have going on. I'll pray about it. We'll pray about it. But a lot of the times I'll know the answer's right because I hear it from her mouth. Whether it's something I agree with or not, I'm sitting there thinking about it, pondering, and I'm like, no, I know for a fact, I 100% know for a fact that God speaks to me through you.
Yeah.
I know that.
Well, and also I'll say, because my nature, and I'm saying this as a human, possibly even female human, my nature is manipulative, right? Mm-hmm. So I know whenever you're coming to me that I could influence you for however I feel and whatever I want. But I also know that you trust me enough to do what's right in my spirit.
Yeah.
And if the Lord is leading me a specific way, we've talked about a move before, that I didn't agree with, but I could not look at him and tell him, this is wrong. What I did, though, was influenced him. I supported him. Yeah. And I said, if you feel like this is what our family needs to do, then I support you.
And that was her obedience to the Lord as well.
And I brought up my concerns, and I just prayed. And I said, Lord, if this is not you, bring clarity. Bring clarity.
And he did, and it hurt. Clarity hurt.
But that's, in that situation specifically, that was why I could not tell him, this is wrong, we should not do this. It had to come from the Lord himself in that moment. And
it was a tough decision. However, going back on obedience, once the decision was made, the Lord started making moves in our family
a lot of blessings
immediately. And it's just really important. Going back to the very first question, put God first. Put God first in everything you do. I feel like I'm doing this. Put God first in everything that you do, in all your decision making. Use discernment. Yeah. Right? Like she was saying, even though I hear God through her, there might be times where there's some discernment and we'll have to talk about it and pray about it. Yeah. Very rare though, but it's important. But what's some good advice you could give? Mm-hmm. I had a member from church, good friend of ours. I'm not gonna say name, but he came up to me, and it breaks my heart because he loves the Lord. He loves being a part of the church, loves what he does. And he wants so badly for his wife to be a part of it. Mm. But she doesn't, I'm guessing she doesn't believe the way he does. Okay. Right? So that's one spectrum of it, right? She's a Christian. She knows God, but she doesn't have the passion like he does right now. And that breaks my heart because I would love to see them both together doing the exact same stuff, right? Yeah. You know how we are with marriages. But then you have another spectrum of someone, like at the beginning of our relationship, where I didn't even know the Lord. I didn't even care to know the Lord. You did. Yeah. You grew up with him, right? What kind of advice? Because this is stuff you'll run into. And we did. We had people from the church being like, you guys are unequally yoked. You guys shouldn't be together. Yeah. That never happens. That's an anomaly. That's not true.
No, it happens all the time. I see women all the time at church that have an empty seat next to them because their husband won't come, or they got saved and their husband didn't, or vice versa, or they're serving in the church and their spouse, might believe in the Lord but is home, doesn't want to be a part of a community, a Christian community, because of church hurt or whatever the case may be. So first, I would say, if you aren't married right now, pray about this before you ever get married. Be on the same page. Avoid what we've gone through.
Yeah.
That's what I would say first and foremost. Now, to the spouse that is already married and in the thick of it, and you want so badly, your faith is so, so strong, and you're believing for that person, for your spouse to come to the Lord, or to be, have a heart for God, or even to the spouse who's lost all hope. What I would say is pray. Pray and lead by example.
Yes, that's it right there.
And however, lead with humility, serve them, love them.
Yeah.
Still be everything that the Lord called you to be to your spouse, without the mindset of, I'm doing this because I'm going to lead him, or I'm going to lead her, I'm going to, my good works. No.
Yeah.
No. But.
Because that's selfish.
It is. But also, the Bible says faith without works is dead, right? So your faith and you serving them as a spouse need to match.
Yeah.
That level needs to match. So I think what we did, I knew that there was a little bit of something in him because he was agnostic and not fully atheist. He believed there's a higher power, but not sure who or why or how that works.
Just real quick, a quick backstory to that. I was raised Catholic, but if you were like me, that was just, you were told to go to church.
Yeah.
But I didn't listen to anything that was being said 90% of the time.
There was a lot of confusion too spiritually in your life he also was raised in a home that believed in a lot of like Mexican superstitions and witchcraft and that kind of stuff.
The witchcraft wasn't in the home.
No, but I'm saying you grew up with family members believing that way. Yes. So there were other influences, and so. But
I do, and I've always known the spiritual world.
Absolutely.
The problem was that it wasn't connected to God.
Yeah. So I knew that there was that door that was open already, and so I would pray. And I remember feeling so. Well, first of all, shame and guilt, they're not of the Lord. So in the nights when, I have 2 kids by this man, I'm not married to him. Heck, one of the kids that we had, I was technically still married to somebody else. And in those moments where I'm like, Lord, I know that that's not you, that we didn't do this the right way, but you know where I'm at, and you know my heart, and I need you to meet me where I'm at. And I could still influence him, right? So I still did the right thing. Those were moments though I had privately. I would never have even imagined like grabbing his hand and being like, hey, pray with me. Because that would probably have either spooked him or made him mad. But
it would make me mad. There were times where she'd be like, you need to go to God with them. Like, don't tell me what I need to do with God. How dare you?
So what I did was, on Easter, on the special Father's Days, Mother's Days, I would use those opportunities to try to get him to church. And then I realized the Lord had given me an idea after we got married to let him know that this was something I wanted for our family, raising our children with a community and that kind of thing. And that was what got him in the church. I knew his heart hadn't changed toward God. I knew that it was softening because I sought the Lord first. It wasn't because of conversations we were having, because we couldn't have those conversations. No. So I kept praying. And I kept praying for the Lord to help me be influential to him in his faith. So then...
she was an influencer before being an influencer was cool.
Oh my gosh. So then, just to like speed the story along, I ended up getting pregnant with our twins, and
That was it.
yeah, everything went wrong. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. I was in the doctor's office about 4 times out of the week with that pregnancy. I almost lost my life. We almost lost the twins several times. It was just a really, really hard time. And in the middle of all that, he was experiencing ridiculous PTSD.
Yep.
And
I went to a really bad state of depression.
there was nowhere to go but up. And so in a moment of just crying out,
Yep.
I
Literally.
was like, Lord, I need you. And what was super cool is there was a pastor at our old church at that time in Albuquerque that he just like on the church website, right? You just like did like the call me kind of thing, and they called. Didn't they come to the hospital?
They did.
And so through that, some relationships were built that were then steering him that way.
Yeah.
And he felt the Lord's presence. You know,
Well,
he felt
100%.
so much peace
During-
in the moments that I'm dying, literally.
Oh, that was the first time that I mean, that's the biggest part of my testimony when I really came to the Lord.
Yeah.
I was outside the VA. I was scared that we were just told basically that the next time we come to ultrasound, our little one wasn't going to be, we're only going to have one heartbeat.
Yeah.
And now the twins, finding out we were having twins is a whole nother story, but
Yeah.
that's fun too. But, you know, I went to my knees and prayed, and I asked God, you know, hey, it was the first time ever that I was just like, Lord, you know, whatever it is you need me to do, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Just, I will follow in your footsteps. Just tell me what I need to do. I didn't ask him to you know, save the life of the child. I didn't ask him for anything. I literally just told him. I submitted for the first time. I'm yours. You do with me what you need me to do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna follow you, because I did not like where I was going. I did not like how I was feeling.
Well,
So
and then
I
to walk
decided-
out of that situation with only devastation and no hope at all.
Yeah.
Because when you come to the realization that there's hope in Jesus, there's hope in what the Lord has to offer.
Well, and the way he works, right? So after that prayer, you know, phone call from you saying we need to go to the hospital, get to the hospital, find out she has preeclampsia, find out that she was, you were at 9 centimeters at that point already or something like that?
Yeah.
Which she couldn't have a normal birth. And then, you know, walking in on the table, that was horrible. Seeing
I
my
was
wife-
already in the middle of a C-section
When I
whenever they
walked in.
walked him in.
You know, our oldest coming out perfectly fine, crying, the whole works. And then our youngest coming out unresponsive.
Yeah.
You know, Jessica literally losing blood and dying on the table.
Yeah.
Like, so much is going on, but during that whole time I had nothing but peace. I wasn't worried. I wasn't scared. I wasn't afraid of anything. I had nothing but peace.
Yeah.
And, you know, going by, seeing them do CPR on Malachi,
Yeah.
still not worried, going up. And then they're like, you know, Michael, you know, your son needs you. So I went up, no worries, nothing. I was fine. I was like, let's do this. I'm ready to go, kind of thing. But it's like, you know, I wasn't there. It was literally the hand of God that was just walking me through. It was kind of like he was literally walking me through the entire thing, had his hand on my back, like, let's go, son. And then when we get upstairs, a few minutes later, you know, the nurse coming in and be like, do you want to meet your other son? And I broke down. Like, I was just like, wow, this is it. This is it. This is it, God.
Well, and that's what I would say too, you know, not just to pray for the Lord to soften their heart, also pray for, as that's happening, as that process is happening, that where you are doing what you're supposed to do as a spouse. And let me just say to that, no matter where your husband or wife is spiritually, you are still called to do what the Bible has laid out for you.
For you, yeah.
Right? Like, it doesn't matter that they are not, following the Lord. You're still, if you're married, that is still your calling.
Mm-hmm.
So, so not just being influential and not just praying for their heart to soften, but also praying that the Lord gives them opportunities to find him.
Yeah.
You know, Lord, have a seed planted today. Lord, the seed that has been planted, you know, because I had heard several stories of when people brought up the Lord and a seed was planted. Lord, water those seeds. Bring someone along to water that seed.
Yeah.
And surround him with the right people. I don't know how many times I've prayed for you to have godly friends.
Yeah, I never thought I'd have godly friends.
I don't just pray for you when I'm praying for you. I pray for your friends. I pray for the people that are influencing your life. That is, those are the main components of what I would say as a spouse married to someone who is different spiritually or on a faith level.
But every one of you has a purpose.
Absolutely.
And I think her purpose was 100% fulfilled through me, bringing me to the Lord. Again, influential, but her influence has, sparked this, what most people will say, very amazing spiritual leader that I've become. And I'm so grateful for it. Because, tell you what, 5 years ago, I don't think I'd be a completely different individual, completely different. But I'm excited because there's still more.
Well, yeah, 5 years.
I'd say 5 years ago. I mean, 10 years ago, obviously, completely different man. But I mean,
very different.
Still my growth.
Yeah, your growth has been incredible.
It might be longer than that. Time just seems like it's really lately.
It's 2025.
I know. And 16 is when I came to the Lord. So, almost 10 years, which is what I'm saying. Like, it's been one heck of a journey, to say the least. But yeah, if being unequally yoked doesn't always just come from a relationship, someone who's not Christian, somebody who is Christian. It could be two Christians who are finding different paths.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a spouse that decides, I don't want to do this no more, as my buddy is dealing with. But, what is your purpose? What is God willed you to do, and why are you doing it? Don't stop doing it. Continue to hold your faith.
Yeah.
Regardless of what's happening in your marriage.
Yeah, you still do the right thing. You
have to. Don't fall to the rest of what the devil wants to happen. That's,
or even what the world tells you. The world tells you whenever people, you grow apart and you grow out of love, or self-seeking, right? Like, do what's right for you. No. That's not what we're called to do as Christians. That's not what we're called to do.
It's not by design at all.
And it's not always going to be a cakewalk. But whenever you get through the hard times, whenever you get through the trying times, the blessings on the other side are so great.
Yeah. Also, it's a everything's legacy minded. We say legacy, I think, in every episode. But what you don't break becomes a curse to your children.
Yeah.
So stop it.
Yeah.
Control it. Push it out to it now. Boom.
Well, being a spouse that is after God's heart, whether your husband or your wife is doing the same, will still be an influence to your children as well. Yeah. And it'll influence the people around you. There are so many times that even in some of our more recent years of trials where I wanted to throw up my hands and I wanted to say, this is stupid. He's driving the car into the wrong direction, the car of life. Not
literally, guys.
Yeah, there's so many times that I wanted to throw up my hands, and then knowing, well, that's not what the Lord called me to do. And my concern to do the wrong thing in the Lord's eyes is so much bigger than my concern for anything else. And so doing what was right by him reaped, like we got to reap the reward. Our marriage got to reap the reward for that.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say to anyone who has a life like that, or concerns like that, or struggles in that area where you're unequally yoked. You continue to put God first, no matter what.
Yep. Maintain your faith.
Absolutely. And pray.
Yes. Praying is important. We've said it before. Pray as much as you can. Regardless, the Bible tells you how to pray. But It's time. It is time. The Bible tells you how to pray. Obviously. All I'm saying is just do it. Just talk to the Lord. Ask him for things. Ask him for guidance.
And be intentional about what you're asking.
Yeah. When you pray for things, believe in what you're praying for. Don't just pray to pray.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, the Lord will hear you if you just babble to him, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're intentional about your prayer, then you know what you're asking for. You know what you're believing for. There's a confidence in that. And you're using your authority in the Lord. And then now you're walking into situations with expectation from him.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to expect great things from him.
That's why we do what we're doing now. It all leads up to the ministry that we're called to. And we believe that we are called.
Marriage is a ministry.
Marriage is a ministry.
Yeah.
Your house is your first ministry.
Yeah.
And we believe in marriage. We believe in the nuclear family. We believe that God comes first in everything that we do, especially in the family, and we just hope and pray that for everybody else that's watching or listening to this, that your marriage becomes the exact same thing, right? We want you to succeed, and we want your marriage to be a ministry, just like ours. And you don't have to do a podcast. You don't have to. It's just, we just decided, we just thought it was right. A lot of people told us, we have stories to tell, and we're not afraid to share it anymore. We've been through a lot.
Yeah.
And
we're in a healed enough space that we can.
We are healed from a lot of it, and I just want the best for all you guys. That's it. Yeah. I want you guys to succeed. I want you guys to be happy in your marriage. But you need to be happy with the Lord first. You need to be happy in that marriage.
He didn't call us to be happy.
Right.
So do what he's calling you to do first, and then you'll find joy in that. Joy.
That's the word, not happy.
That's okay.
Joy is a much better word, yeah.
But that's good that you brought that up, because people need to hear that, you know. Of course you want a happy marriage. Of course you want to seek happiness, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that, but he didn't call us to be happy. Mm-hmm.
The Bible's not all cupcakes and rainbows.
No.
For anybody who's read it. Just so you know. And if you haven't read it, read it.
Yeah.
Take your time. I had an opportunity for 6 months to make sure that I had to read it, so I read it twice, and I need to read it more. Read it front to back twice, I want to say.
He's opened his Bible twice, y'all.
It's a great opportunity to sit down with your spouse. That's what I say right now. Sit down with your spouse and take this opportunity to go pray with them.
Yeah.
Find out what's going on. And
if you can't do that, then take this opportunity to go pray for them privately.
Yep. Always pray for them. Pray.
Yes.
Prayer is the most powerful thing we as Christians have. So pray.
Yes.
Because prayer 100% works.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
That's it.
Well, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
That was a really good one. I like where it went. You guys, thank you so much again for watching. We love having these conversations with you guys.
Even sleepy and tired.
Even sleepy. Pray for my wife.
Please.
Pray for me. Just, again, continue to pray.
Yeah.
Pray for everything, everywhere, every time. Get a chance. Without ceasing. Pray. But again, thanks for watching, guys. This is JD and Jess. We are grateful to be here with you, and we are grateful to be growing with you.
Absolutely.
Till next time.